Well, thank you, everybody, for coming today. Welcome to the Greenwich Energy Costs Forum. It's an idea that we had in the last week or so, just with the escalating prices and the winter right around the corner, and we already had a couple cold days. We want to make sure that our residents are aware of every possible option for them, especially those that are on fixed incomes and maybe experiencing some hard times. So with that, we assembled a panel here. Sam Romeo of Greenwich Communities is on his way. And we have Joe Lasello, Emergency Operations Director, to my right, and Demetria Nelson, who is Director of our Greenwich Human Services Department. They're going to talk a little bit about what is available through their departments. And then Congressman Himes is going to bring us up to date on some things from the federal level. And we have Representative Meskers, he was here, there he is, who's already been hard at work lining up things for us on the state level. I'm sure Representative Meskers would like to say a few words. Representative Fiorello sends her regrets, she's away. Representative Aurora, I think, had a conflict. Senator Fazio is here, one of the first ones to respond. And Representative-elect Hector Arzeno is in the front row there, taking notes already. And Representative-elect Rachel Khanna is on the phone listening. She's out of town right now, but eager to dial in and listen and take all the information back up to Hartford. So we really wanted to, again, just express the concern and the focus that we have here in town, that whenever there's a crisis or there's a harsh winter coming or there's some type of economic hardship in front of us, that it's a team effort. And in Greenwich, it really is a total team effort. And you'll see that here today with the local, state, and federal public officials here, as well as our department heads and soon to be Sam Romeo. And we work together. And Greenwich takes care of its own, and we're certainly lucky to live in such a community. So with that, I will turn it over to Demetria, who has a few things to share with us from the Department of Human Services.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you, everyone, for coming out today. We want to ensure that the residents of Greenwich understand what resources are available to them. And the resources that are available to you include energy assistance. And Jenny, if you can scroll along for us. What we've done is we've put together a very simple information card that has all of the links that you will need so you can quickly access the information, and also you can apply directly for these services. But if you need assistance, you may call, email, or come to the Greenwich Department of Human Services on the 3rd floor of the Greenwich Town Hall, and an intake case manager will assist you in applying for these services. So we have energy assistance that is administered by the state. Our department is able to and approved to complete the applications and assist with that, so please feel free if you do need assistance. Next, we have Operation Fuel, which is run by nonprofit organization. Also, there are various programs that are available. You can go directly to their website and apply. Again, another resource would be the Department of Human Services. We have put some information on these flyers regarding the eligibility, but please know that all of the links are interactive. We will have the first selectman send out the link to this on Friday with the Greenwich Communities newsletter that goes out. We have also included information about if you have to call Eversource and you need to contact them because of an emergency, we have that information here that's readily available to you. A little bit more information about other programs, not just energy assistance. And again, there is a lot of information, so it's very difficult to fit it all in one area, but you'll see that there is a link. Go to eversource.com, Bill Help, and you could find out all of the programs that you could potentially be eligible for. And then we also have the contact information for Connecticut Connecticut Natural Gas. And lastly, on this information card, we put information about our department. If someone is struggling or having issues or concerns related to paying for their utility bills, there may be other areas where you need assistance. So please feel free to reach out to us to explore what services you may be eligible for. And we are working on developing our ARPA-related program for families and residents whose income may be slightly higher than what some of these programs will allow for. So with the ARPA programming, we will provide assistance not only with utilities, but also rent assistance. And it's for those households that are at the ALICE threshold level and below. And as an example, a family of 4 would be $114,000 or less. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Demetria, for that information. That's really helpful. I also want to thank Chris Farrell of Eversource for stopping by and always being at the ready and answering my calls right away and bringing some information. And I know you have some good, there's some things here that certainly residents can do on their own by contacting Eversource, so as we just heard. So thank you very much. And Michelle James of the Community Action Network is here, so thank you, coming from Stanford and Danbury. And also Janet McGuigan. On the town side, Selectwoman Rabin sends her regrets. She is traveling to Buffalo, of all places, now. You should be going away from Buffalo, not towards it. And Janet's here, so thank you for joining us. And we'll turn it over to Joe. Thanks, Joe.
And thank you. Thank you for inviting me today. I'm here to talk a little bit about preparedness and our community being well prepared this winter. As we go into the cold season, we do want to make sure that our residents are prepared for any possible power outages due to storms or any type of large weather events. We at the town here of Greenwich have been working with our shelters. We have renewed our shelter plans with the Red Cross. We actually went around and did a full analysis and review of all our shelters in the local town. We have created a warming center plan, so God forbid there are large-scale outages, or if you are in need of a warm place for shelter, you can visit any one of our 6 locations throughout town, at the libraries, at the Western Civic Center, at the Greenwich Public Safety Complex, and here at Town Hall. The hours of operation are on our website. Those are also cooling centers in the summertime. We also want to remind you to please have a plan. We brought some materials today on the front table on how to assist you and your families in establishing a plan and ensuring that you have a list of items that are readily available in case you do need to leave your home for a warmer environment. We do want to remind people as we go into the winter to make sure you have enough medications at home in case we get large-scale snow events or ice events. We want to make sure that you have enough supply of medications. We also want to make sure for anyone who's medically dependent on devices that they have extra spare oxygen bottles at home and that you have a plan in case the power goes out. So we are here to assist you as well as the other departments in town. We are working on a great new software. It's called Everbridge software. It is a mass notification communication system that will allow us in an emergency to communicate directly with residents and businesses, as well as guests that come to town, through a system called CT Alerts, as well as in partnership with the Everbridge software. This new software will be, we're in the process of rolling it out, and we'll be asking residents and businesses to enroll so they can receive emergency messages. So if there was an imminent emergency or information that we have to get out to the public immediately, you would be able to receive that information by a reverse telephone call, text message, and email system. This will allow us to connect with over 90,000 contacts in the town of Greenwich for folks that live here, people that work here, and people that may be traveling through the area. So all very important. We'll be rolling out that information soon through the community connections and on the town website. And I encourage you, as you see the information, to please, invite your family and friends and your neighbors to participate in that program. So I'm here to help any way I possibly can. Thank you so much. I wish you all happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Joe. And Joe just recently started in this position, and he's been a real asset to the town already. He's reaching out to all different constituencies throughout the town and every area of town, and all good feedback, Joe, so thank you so much. Appreciate that. And of course, lots of things stem from coming down from DC, and there is some good news, I think. And our congressman is here to join us today. Thank you, Jim, for joining us. And I know there was some possible assistance on the federal level too.
Takes me back to my BET days. Long
right.
ago.
I remember that.
Yeah, this is very strange. So great to see you all. And Fred, thanks for pulling this together. Demetria covered the key emergency program that we need to make sure is out there. The money that comes into this program comes through a federal program called the Low Income LIHEAP, Housing and Energy Assistance Program. And it is administered through community action agencies and agencies like the department here. One thing I would note, in case there are people who are not Greenwich residents who are watching, you can go to ct.gov/heating help, and you can make an online application for this aid, or you can be in direct contact with community action agencies, which around the county also can help with assistance in the disbursement of funds. And I think Demetria covered it pretty well, but it's really important that people understand that it's income related. I think it was up on the slide, but basically for a one-person household, that's an individual or a senior citizen living alone, the income eligibility starts at just shy of $40,000. For a four-person household, that goes as high as $76,500. So, there's going to be a lot of people out there who are eligible for this, especially our senior citizens. And I think, again, Demetria covered this really well. The benefit is income related, but can be as high as $550 or $600. So, Demetria covered that really well. Let me just spend a couple of minutes on some other programs that people really need to know about. And this next one I'm going to talk about, which is the Weatherization Assistance Program. Now, when you're worried about that monthly bill, you may not be thinking about weatherization, but of course, to reduce those monthly bills, what you want to do is make your home more energy efficient. And there is a program, again, it's federal money, but it is intermediated by the community action agencies. It's the Weatherization Assistant Program. Same income qualifier. So in other words, $39,700 for the individual, up to $76,500 for a family of four. This will provide funds, a free energy audit. I'm correct about that, right? A free energy audit. I've seen these happen. They're pretty impressive. They identify all of the windows that need recaulking, all of the areas in which heat is bleeding out of a house. And then there's actually money to help with things like insulation, duct sealing, HVAC system repairs. And again, I get it, right? When you're worried about this month's bill, you may not be thinking about that, but this is a really important program because it will, if people take advantage of it, reduce the energy expenditures that people experience. The only other thing I want to mention, again, this is in the spirit of helping lower income people reduce energy bills over time. The funding is not yet available, but the Inflation Reduction Act, which was signed into law just 6 months ago or so, also has about $5 billion in it for states to establish programs to provide tax benefits to people who make the investments in energy efficient appliances, things like heat pumps, water heaters, air sealing, ventilation, and they're actually quite generous benefits. I'm just reading from my notes here. So for example, if you replace a cooktop that is inefficient, you can get up to a $900 tax benefit for doing so. Space heating and cooling, efficient equipment, there can be as much as an $8,000 tax benefit. These are all credits that would be credited against your tax liability, and there's things like electrical wiring and other things that I would just encourage everybody to watch this space, because there are going to be very substantial tax benefits available for people to make the investments that will make their homes cheaper to heat and cool. Lastly, I wanted to mention I'm not going to duplicate what I just said. It gets fairly complicated in terms of the tax return and stuff, but we'll work with the state representative, state senator, and the town to make sure that once these credits and benefits are in law, or once they've been promulgated, they're in law, but once they've been promulgated, we'll make sure that we publicize what is eligible and what the amounts are that are available. It's a little complicated because unlike the LIHEAP program, it won't be a check that arrives. It will be a benefit that appears on your tax return. And there may be, last thing I want to say, Freddie, this is really important, First Selectman Camillo.
It's okay.
What I've just talked about will be benefits that show up on people's tax returns, and something that we face around the country, but certainly here in Connecticut, is that people think, I don't make enough money to have to file a tax return. There's two reasons why that is a big mistake. Number one, a lot of people will qualify for the earned income tax credit. And in particular, if that individual has wages, low wages, but has children, the earned income tax credit can result in a credit of up to $5,000 or so dollars. But the other reason it's really important for people to file tax returns is that all of these energy benefits that are part of the Inflation Reduction Act, because you buy a more efficient water heater or whatever, will be delivered in that fashion. So that's the last thing I want to say, which is we do need to mobilize soon, because people begin to file their tax returns, their tax forms in January. So we'll work together to make sure people are aware, A, of the benefit of filing that tax return, even if they're very low income, and B, of the specific energy benefits that will be new as a result of the Inflation Reduction Act.
Thank you so much. That's interesting, good stuff to hear, and we'll certainly be watching the Congressman's updates that he always sends, and also our state delegation for anything coming on the state end. So thank you, Jim. That's really helpful. Appreciate it. And just on cue is Sam Romeo, who is the chairman of Greenwich Communities, formerly Greenwich Housing Authority, who's been doing a terrific job updating and acquiring lots of units for residents here in town. And I know, Sam, this is something that you've been concerned about, making sure that everybody stays nice and warm in the winter and cool in the summer. So we've heard from Demetria, from Joe Lasella. We've heard from the congressman about all these programs. Eversource has some things available. Anything for the residents out there that are within your authority that you want them to know about? Or?
Well, I'm really concerned about the residents that we have living in the public housing that heat their home or their apartment solely by electricity, like in McKinney Terrace. McKinney Terrace is total electric. Those bills are going to be doubling, and I'm really, really concerned. Besides having to worry about the cost of oil and gas, but, increase in inflation for the food cost. A lot of my residents are struggling, and we're trying to find all kinds of ways to assist them, to put food on the table, gas in their cars, and to keep them warm through this winter. So anything that the congressman can do to help us out, and social services, we're going to be looking to all aspects of the community for this assistance, because these are the people who at least can afford to take on these increased costs.
Well, thank you very much, and those are great points, and certainly we have a lot of information here that you can go back and copy and hand out to all of the residents throughout Greenwich Communities units. So that's very, very important. There's a lot of things here that can definitely assist them to get them through the winter. And also, in addition to Congressman Hymes's frequent updates on the state level, Senator Fazio sends them out, Representative Mesker sends them out. And we want to remind people that they, too, to follow their e-blasts. I don't know if they want to say a few words about that and what they're doing on the state level. And so the floor is yours, Ryan and Steve. Yeah, whatever's comfortable.
All right, great. I think the overview of all the programs were very useful, but if you ever need any individual assistance, you can always contact my office, ryan.fazio@cga.ct.gov, or senatorfazio.com. I know Steve will give his information as well. But you can always contact us directly if you need any help ascertaining or using these programs. Additionally, we are scheduled as a state legislature to go into a special session next week in order most likely to extend the gas tax holiday, a 25 cents gas tax holiday, several months. It will probably phase out 5 cents a month over the course of several months is the proposal that's been discussed, and also extending the funding for the LIHEAP program that was discussed beforehand. And again, Steve and my email blasts will discuss what exactly gets passed, but those are the main programs that are germane here that are being discussed. I think those are the most important highlights, but again, you can always contact me in my office for help at ryan.fazio@cga.ct.gov or senatorfazio.com.
Thank you, Senator. Representative Meskers.
So I think the summary of the programs that are available right now were on spot and are very helpful to our residents. One of the issues I think for the residents that I think is important, a lot of the times in the application process, there's a level of confidentiality. You should feel free, if you're comfortable, to copy the emails of your legislators in your applications to the agencies, because we will help move the ticket along in getting you a solution. All of our agencies are of good intent and goodwill, but when we sit in the legislature, we see those agencies on a regular basis for appropriations, for assistance, et cetera. They respond a little quicker sometimes if we are the CC on the emails. So when you're having assistance issues, you should feel free to contact us. Ryan is right, we'll be coming out and we'll be in session. There'll be updates post the session. The League of Women Voters is hosting a seminar on the December 9th regarding the Public Utility Regulatory Authority. That's more of a technical discussion of the rate-setting structure and their authority to deal with the price of energy. But the fact is, as everyone's highlighted today, the cost of natural gas, the cost of liquid natural gas is going through the roof. The cost of all of our bills are going up. So we're going to work our best possible, all of us. You've heard our federal delegation, you've heard Congressman Himes, you've heard our first selectman, you've heard us. We will all be rowing in the boat to help you, but calling us, writing us usually lends to an effective response. So I encourage you to reach out to all of us. Thanks.
Thank you, and that is very important. If you make sure you copy your legislators on it, it does carry some weight there, and it will help you get a quicker response. So thank you, and I really appreciate all of this information. We have a lot over there on the table. Take whatever you need. If you need to. You've heard lots of emails. I have a new one, firstselectmen@greenwichct.org. Please reach out to me if you have any issues on the town side. And certainly, if you forgot anybody else's email address or number, I can give that to you also. But again, thank you very much. Are there any questions before we? Peter?
Yeah, should I do the microphone thing?
Yes, Peter Alexander.
Hi, I was almost rudely late. I was 19 minutes late, not 20 minutes late. But Peter Alexander, lifelong, pretty much resident of Greenwich, but this is my 50th year worrying about energy and so forth. I was wondering, of all our elected officials, have you heard from the monopoly that controls our water and electricity? And what's their input? Are they going to try to help everyone out, or are they just going for the big bucks?
Okay. Okay, well, thank you. Peter, I know it's always a question that we hear a lot. I don't know if there's any answer today for that. It's not just this industry, it's other industries too. Any other questions? I did see a hand. And then Peter's on deck.
So I'm pleased to see all of the elected officials here as well. I contacted your office back in October, regarding price gouging that I've seen through the Energize CT website. So I've been monitoring electric rates in Connecticut for many years. Behind Hawaii, Connecticut was the second most expensive state until recently when Alaska surpassed us. And as somebody who's very interested and focused on sustainability issues, I looked toward implementing heat pumps in my home to move away from natural gas. Even though Eversource gets 49% of their electricity from natural gas, which is a concern, because we're a coastal community, a coastal state. Reducing my dependence on fossil fuels is a priority. So I looked to implement heat pumps. A heat pump for hot water and a heat pump and AC system for heating. I called about 30 of the companies listed on the Energize CT sites and was quoted prices from $700 an hour and up for labor to install. This is a significant amount of money. When the regular charge for a house call from a plumber or an electrician might be anywhere from $175 to $250 an hour. As soon as they see that it's something related to energy efficiency, the cost goes up. If I ask how much they charge an hour, they quote me a price. They come to my house to look at the heat pump. They'll say, we'll get back to you. You have to buy your heat pump through us. And then the markup is anywhere from 50 to 100% higher than the cost of me going to Home Depot to get it. Additionally, the labor charge and the purchase charge is an exorbitant price. I had one contractor tell me directly, you're going to get a 40% rebate, so it's okay if you spend $10,000 because you're going to get 40% back. This is a problem with the Inflation Reduction Act, that it's leading to price gouging from people who, residents who want to do the right thing, reduce their energy independence, or move to more greener solutions. I looked into solar energy, similar. Price quotes from $60,000 and up. I found a website that sells solar panels, $400 for a panel. And I'm getting quotes of $1,500 to $2,500 a panel, a solar panel, not including the labor. So I think we have a fundamental problem here when it comes to energy efficiency. Not just the cost that we're paying per kilowatt, which is exorbitant. Hawaii and Alaska are not part of the continental United States. It makes sense that their energy prices are going to be higher. Alaska, a little iffy since we're digging oil up out there. But Hawaii, right, they have a lot of incentives for solar and other energy efficiency items there, that makes sense. Connecticut makes no sense at all. And there's something has to be done about that.
Well, thank you. You bring up some great points. I know when I was in the legislature, we had, seems like a long time ago, we had required of the companies and Eversource to actually give notice when prices were going up. They never used to do that. I know back, I think in 2010, along with, I think, Representative Shapiro wrote a price gouging law in response to weather events. I don't know if it's been updated or if it's even anything addresses that, but certainly Senator Fazio's here, Representative Meskers. There may be something where you could circle back with them and see if there's something they could, maybe session starts in January, so maybe that's something they can put in a bill for you, so for everybody. So it's a good point, and it drives you crazy because you're trying to do the right thing and it ends up costing you a lot of money. So thank you very much.
Well, I came here today because there are so many elected officials And I don't want to have to do the email spam out to the Consumer Protection Board or to the governor or everybody else. I don't want to have to do that. So since everybody is here,
Okay.
I wanted to
Thank you.
make you all aware that this is a very important issue that needs addressing. Otherwise, our utility bills are going to.
Yeah. Yeah, I think,
Keep talking, you should just
Yeah.
talk in the microphone.
okay, oh, thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for bringing this up. My interest as a federal representative is that the IRA funds not simply pad the pocketbooks of monopolistic or oligopolistic installers or whatnot. So the bulk of the work, because both water and electricity are regulated by PURA at the state level, the bulk of the work will fall on our state representatives, and they're the ones who can hold hearings. If there is sort of oligopolistic or monopolistic pricing of the installation of heat pumps, which makes no sense to me, right? I mean, this is basic plumbing and electrical work. I'm interested because these are tax breaks that originate at the federal level, but it's these guys who can really hold the hearings and expose. My one ask to you is, it really is super helpful for us if, instead of just hearing about it at a meeting, you can document the experiences. Wonderful. I would just ask you to pass that on, and again, it'll be primarily the senator and the representatives, but with that kind of documentation, you know, it'll be more them because of PURA and where this is regulated. They'll sit down and use that, but all I'm saying is that in addition to telling us about it, please give us that give them in particular the documentation, because that's where the rubber really meets the road. And it's outrageous. I mean, we've seen this more generally with, you know, the oil companies and whatnot that have taken advantage of market dislocations to have huge bottom lines against the pain that an awful lot of us are paying at the pump. So anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying, please do pass on the specific information, in particular to our state representatives who can really do something about it.
And I don't
Thank you.
disagree with you on that point, and I do think we should be taxing the oil companies much higher than we're taxing them now because of the damage that's done to the
Okay.
environment.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Congressman, appreciate it. Peter, quickly? Good to see you.
You hit the button, there you go. I actually came to listen, and to the point that low-income people need this kind of help, I appreciate it. I came here thinking there'd be a little more dialogue on why this is happening and to come to solutions. You'll find me very solution-oriented. I identify a problem, to what Mr. Romeo said, and to what Peter was saying and this young lady. Why is this happening, and what are the solutions today that can be done by the state and even the federal representatives in this room? Many of us understand this is a political issue and that we're here basically because of the energy policies of the current administration. I bring that up only because administrations change. And assuming there may be a next change in 2 years, my question is, why are rates doubling? And I don't mean just to the low income, they're doubling for everybody. Doubling. Now, we already have inflation, realized inflation, probably at 12% right now. For those of you that have a financial background, you know how that's figured out. Why are energy rates that are being controlled by utilities and the governing class, why are they doubling? You know, Mr. Romeo?
I think he has an answer.
The trouble all started worldwide with shutting off the spigots.
Thank
And that's
you.
the bottom line.
I'm an RTM.
We turn those spigots back on, you're going to
You're
see
absolutely
tremendous
correct. Now, that's
drop.
to the question I'm going to have here tonight. Thank you. I'm a RTMer, 3 terms. I believe in term limits. I got off and then came back on. I'm again back on the RTM because I have another 3-term to go too. So as a member of the First Harbor Management Commission, I've lived here for 22 years. We all are affected by the doubling of prices and a 12% inflation rate. So I'll send that message to the federal government, and it is political. Most things done in this lifestyle are politically directed. Now, solution that could be done here is, rather than doubling prices, is to roll them. roll them every 6 months so that people that can afford can at least start to cover the costs of something that might be doubled. So that's to the state legislature. Start to come in with a rolling program that rolls these rates to a certain point. Third point and last point is to put the management of this program under not a governing council. To put it under the DEP in Connecticut is a big mistake. I think it should remain with the governing council on how to manage utilities in this state, probably every state, so the community has a voice through that council as to what's going on here, not just a mandate that prices are being doubled. That's the consideration I think you all should have today. Thanks for the ability to speak.
Thank you very much, Peter. Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to, the purpose of this really was to get us through this winter and know what's available to us. I couldn't agree with you more. There were decisions made 2 years ago in Washington that kind of put us in this spot, and with the war, unfortunately, exacerbated that. But to sit here right now, that's not going to solve anybody's problems right now. And I think that our federal and state officials and the local officials, we're trying to just let everybody aware of where we are. Political debate, love to have that, but today it's just not, not something that we're here for.
This isn't a debate, but I forgot the last point is, if a new administration comes in and these rates are subsided, what's the plan for rolling the rates back? When you raise the rates and double them, rarely do you ever see them coming back to the normal rates that they should have. And that's why there should be a governing council that listens to the voices of the residents and the taxpayers, I should say the taxpayers. So what happens in 2 years if the energy spigot is open? Now suddenly energy flows pretty freely. Are these rates rescinded? Is the open question at hand right now. So I'll leave that. It's not a debate.
Yes, the congressman.
Look, if we're going to solve these problems, which we should, we're going to start with a proper diagnosis. And the idea that a new administration, just in virtue of them being a new administration, radically alters electric or energy rates in a business that has been built out over generations is just plain wrong. And by the way, if we care about facts, the fact is that the new administration has approved more drilling permits than the last administration. I'm not interested in having that debate. What I am interested is pointing us, if you really believe that gas pipelines and the construction of the electrical transmission grid and the levels of consumption and the fact that we don't buy gas and oil from Iran or from Russia, and the fact that OPEC has taken, if you really believe that that's the Biden's administration fault, that's your prerogative. It just happens to be wrong. If you really are interested in addressing the underlying cause of the high electricity rates in the state of Connecticut, you will understand that the problem is that we are at the very end of the natural gas pipelines that originate in Texas and in the Midwest and in Pennsylvania. We're at the end of those pipelines. And as a consequence, remember, 50%, roughly speaking, of our electricity comes from the Millstone nuclear reactor. The other 50%, more or less, comes from burning natural gas. So if you really want to focus on the problem here, you will focus on the fact that we have dramatic undersupply of natural gas. And the reason, if you listen to the generators and the distributors, that we're going to see this massive peak in electricity prices is because that's when the demand is on that natural gas, which gets converted into electricity. That's the underlying problem. It's not the Biden administration. The underlying problem is the fact that we don't have enough supply of natural gas. Now, if we're serious about doing something about that, the conflict, of course, is between those who want to build natural gas pipelines and those who resist it. On the one side are those people who correctly diagnose the problem. On the other side are environmentalists, NIMBYism, all of the objections that arise when somebody wants to build a natural gas pipeline. So I say all that just to say, if we're going to get serious about the problem here, let's have a conversation about how to get more natural gas into the state of Connecticut as we evolve, hopefully, away from the necessity to get that natural gas into Connecticut.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me, hold on. Again, I don't want this to be a debate, and one of the good things is moderating this. I promise myself I'm not going to get, but there, the ultimate goal, obviously, is we'd like to have clean energy, right? The alternative energy choice. And we're going to get there at some point. Is it going to happen next few years? No. And I think the Congressman's right. And I think you're kind of on the same page there. If we have more natural gas, right, the cleanest burning fossil fuel, right, and we have an abundance of it in the United States, then we should go there while we're working 110% on these other things to get us there, right? So we don't find ourselves in positions like this. So it's a little bit more complicated. And again, I tried really hard not to get into debate. The whole purpose of this is to help with the utility bills. We could have this. I'm glad to sponsor a forum, and I'll jump right in and I'll go sit over there.
Directing the attention to me, it's not a debate, okay, this period, but there are several things like Congressman has said that's incorrect. Just leave it at that. And rather than debate, they're always happy to debate. And if gas is being delivered here at a certain price, you don't suddenly overnight double it. All I'm gonna say, and I'll just leave it at that. It should be rolled up in a reasonable way so people can pay for it, not a certain class of people, low-income people, getting tax credits, and everybody else is being hurt by doubling the prices. There's already been gas, you don't double, any business, you don't suddenly double the price and expect people to come and buy what you have. This is controlled by the government.
Okay.
Open it up to that council.
Okay. Thank you, Peter. No, and it's certainly a worthwhile discussion. Again, I see merit in both the positions there. I think what my view is on it. But again, our whole point here is, and thank you for Michelle, is to just allow. We're here right now, right? However we got here, we're here right now. We just want to make sure people are aware of all of the options open to them to get us through maybe what could be a really harsh winter. Right, Michelle?
I'm not going to deal with that question. I'm going to go to another topic. I just wanted to let everybody know that there's another program that will help with water. It's a low-income water assistance program. If people apply for energy, on the energy application, there's a place to note whether or not you need help with your water bills. If you do, just let us know. I am at Community Action. Applications are taken through the city of Greenwich. Is it the city or town?
Town.
I'm sorry. I'm from the big city, Danbury, right? The big city, Danbury.
You're going to get them all nervous.
No. I know, I got confused. But the applications are taken here. They're sent to our office. That's where it's processed. All the authorizations for oil are made through our office. But if you do need water assistance as well, let your friends know, let your neighbors know. There is money there through the federal government to help with your water bills as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Very important. Thank you, Michelle. Very important. Don, the floor is yours.
I just want to let everybody know also, if you go on the internet, you'll find Connecticut sources of electricity, heat, and whatever. There's a website, and it leads you to the companies that supply electricity, for instance, and other companies. There are 4 on the site now. The lowest one is 13 cents per kilowatt hour for the time being. I don't know when the change takes place in January. You can lock these rates in for 2 to 3 years if you like, or whatever. It's all there. You just have to go through the web and you'll find it, okay?
Thank you, Don. I think that is ctenergize.com. Yes. We all check it out at the end of our terms. Representative Meskers.
I just want everyone to be aware, in light of the rising price of energy and natural gas, the third-party energy suppliers generally offer competitive rates in the original billing periods. And if you are not renewing or checking your rollover periods, you will find yourself in excess in the renewal periods. The general business model for third-party energy suppliers is an attempt to offer discounts in the contractual period, and then those people who aren't monitoring their rates, they'll find themselves at a premium to the rates offered by United Illuminating or Eversource. So you want to be very careful if you're booking. If you are the type of person who clips a coupon at the supermarket every month assiduously, it's not a bad source to investigate. But if you close your eyes, you'll be at a 20, 30, or 40% premium on your automatic rollovers. So they are a source, but you want to really watch them.
That's a great point. And I know we, on the legislative level several years ago, compelled them to notice people when they were coming up. But it's very easy sometimes to miss it. So probably, the representative's right, probably write yourself a note just in case you miss, whether it's an email or a letter. Just write yourself a note when it's coming due, and then go to ctenergize.com. Just compare the rates. And I think right now, probably Eversource is probably the cheapest at home, right? Which is, I've never, 11 cents, which that never happened before, at least when I used to check. So
It's going to go to 22.
we're going to give you all the credit, Chris. Thank you. Any more questions or comments before we, Senator Fazio?
I just wanted to add, because obviously the big concern for people right now, for most people right now, is the rising cost of electricity. And that is, to a large degree, a state policy issue. And, my colleagues and I in the state legislature, including Steve, we do need to be part of the policy discussion for providing solutions to bend down the long-term cost curve. What we're going to be debating next week will provide short-term relief, but we also have to be part of a policy discussion, a substantive discussion for how to bend the long-term cost curve of the energy portfolio down. The goal of any electricity grid is to be reliable, affordable, and clean. It's not an easy solution to find those three, to achieve those three things, but we do have to do a lot better in Connecticut to provide affordability in the long run. Again, it's not, as you say, it's not acceptable that we're the third highest electricity rates in the country. So we do have to be part of that policy conversation in the long run. So I just wanted to add that for the notes about state government.
Thank you very much, Senator. Okay. Seeing no other comments, for the second time, Peter Alexander is recognized.
Sorry, I hope I don't bore you guys again, but I've been working with frackers out in Colorado for over 30 years, and I know this and that, but do you realize the greatest contributor to anti-fracking is Putin? Thank you. Just want to be on record with that.
Okay, we got it. Thank you, Peter. All righty. With that, again, I want to really thank everybody and the comments and information that was provided by everybody. Really, really appreciate it, and we'll make sure this gets out to all our town residents. So again, thank you, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone.